Hi, I'm Yuxi. I'm a character concept artist, and this is day 1 of becoming a Zenless Zone 0 character concept artist / illustrator. In my last introduction to this American cause, I briefly broke down the phases that we will be going through to achieve the perfect portfolio to submit to Hoyoverse, with the first phase being inspiration farming. So, I scoured the internet to find official and non-official works of ZZZ so that I can study the official art and techniques while still finding creativity to spark new works. The characters I chose to study are Ellen Jo, Seth Lowell, Lycon, and Astra Yao. Ellen is my favorite character in all of ZZZ so far, so I'll be drawing her the most when getting to ZZZ art study phase. She has a complicated design, but not too much where it deters me away from drawing her multiple times. Plus, if I get overwhelmed, she has an alternative outfit, which is a lot simpler and easier to draw. When looking at the ZZZ character design, it can look a bit overwhelming at first glance, but when you break it down into a few rules that they follow consistently, it becomes less of a word problem and more of a formula. Number 1, the idea of the character is abstract. You've probably heard this before when developers are explaining their process. They use keywords to form an idea of what they want to achieve. Let's take Ellen for example. If I had to guess the keywords used to describe Ellen, it would be shark, punk, maid, and teeth. If you ask a room full of artists to draw a character design off those keywords, you're going to end up with something very similar to Ellen. While these keywords could literally mean anything, they still have a central focus on the idea of what the character could look like. Her character design must have shark features. Their occupation is that of a maid. The contrasting element is punk, so something sharp and edgy. And lastly, you have teeth that ties into the punk and shark traits. All of these words add up to a bigger picture rather than just words to describe something cool or pretty. Number 2, ZZZ focuses on silhouette over eccentric designs. When looking at Genshin and Honkai Star Rail, the character designs are striking and easy to recognize because of certain motifs like the spiderwebs on Kafka's coat, the geometric shapes on Zhongli, and so on and so forth. But with ZZZ, the quality is favored over quantity, and because of that, this allows them to focus on the character's silhouette to say a lot more about the character than the design. Take Miyabi for example. If she were in any other Hoyoverse game, she would have more mechanical elements, an emphasis on her fox features, and more crossovers and asymmetrical design. But because of the urban setting she's in, on top of the fact that she's an extremely powerful character within the story and gameplay, a flashy design wouldn't make sense for her character. After all, Miyabi isn't going for the flashiest move, she's going for a precise one, and it shows in her silhouette and design. Miyabi is a very strong soldier, but she's not an aggressive person. Still, she has a very prestige bloodline and status as a void hunter. Her stance is sharp and concentrated, with her armored arm being at the forefront, which means that her sword is an important element to her character. Notice how her katana's blade is facing away from the viewer. That shows how she values protection over destruction. The most prominent shape in her silhouette is triangles. I can make a bunch of triangles from her ears, skirt, hair, coat, and the spaces between that form a triangle. Everything is sharp about her, and yet the sharpest element, the blade, is faced away from you. This tells you she's dangerous and strong, but only when she needs to be. Now, let's take a look at the design elements incorporated into her outfit. If you break it down in its simplest form, Miyabi is simply wearing a typical Japanese school uniform with the green coat and an armored left arm. What makes her design great is the small significant designs that make what she's wearing important and by default makes her as a character important. Her arm isn't armor just because she's in the military. It has armor because it makes the sword she's carrying with that specific arm significant. When you see art of Miyabi, she is always carrying her katana with her left hand, even though she unsheaths it with her right hand. Why? It's because the potential of action is of greater importance than the action itself. When you see the sword in her left hand, it feels important because she is always carrying it with the hand that is guarded. It would have had less impact if she did so with the bare arm, and it would also make you question why she's carrying a sword all the time with her bare hands. But because ZZZ added importance to the arm, it added importance to the object holding it. ZZZ's design's goal isn't just to make the character look pretty, it's also meant to perform a story that is yet to be told. Number 3, the characters' faces are simple but recognizable. In the most respectful way possible, ZZZ's character facial features are basic. There's nothing particularly unique about them, so what makes them so lovable? Its personality. When looking at the twins from Orna High School Host Club, at a glance the twins look exactly alike, but when you get to know them, their personality changes to the way their faces are perceived by the eye, so they become different. With ZZZ, it's no different. Seth and Hadamasa have the exact same eyes, but they feel different. Seth is an ambitious, loyal, and headstrong police officer, while Hadamasa is almost the complete opposite of that. At least that's who he portrays himself to be. Because Seth is the way he is, he looks more determined and defensive in a good way. Harumasa is reserved, often slow to office work, tries not too hard at things he's good at, and that shows. Look at their character art. Seth wields a shield, but he doesn't hide behind it. In fact, he stands out more because of it. It shows ambition and leadership. Harumasa has his back turned towards you and hides behind his bow, arrow case, and short swords. He's even slow to draw his arrow. His stance looks lax compared to Seth. You have to go through barriers to get to Harumasa because he's a guarded character with a dark past who hides behind a smile. Seth, although he has his adversities, is straightforward and honest. He doesn't need to mask his pain. So, when looking at their eyes, Seth's eyes look striking while Harumasa's look soft and a bit somber. Number 4. Hoyoverse loves adding traditional culture elements to modern designs. Literally, they're everywhere. Of course, there are a lot more rules that go into designing a character in ZZZ, but these are the 4 rules that I've seen to be consistent throughout ZZZ and other games. Okay, wow. That felt like I was giving a character analysis and less of a sketch and go video, but ultimately, the analysis of the character is the most important when creating a design, especially one that is recognizable and multi-leveled in storytelling. Design is about show and no tell, so it's kind of hard to design a character with no story to show for it. So, in day 2, we will cover story building and how certain design elements only need to tell you a part of the story to the bigger picture that is planned to be shown in later events. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.